Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the London session on TopstepTV. I'm Marcus Dee, aka Deeyana Angelo, and I have Jerome D with me again today for the Neuroscience Wednesday. Jerome, good morning.
Good morning, bonjour. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. I'm fully awake. I'm caffeinated and ready to talk some self-compassion and tie it all in how we can help everybody be better traders going forward. All right, so what have you got for us today, Jerome? Talk to us.
Wonderful. Thank you, yeah, for making it happen again today. So I hope everybody have their papers and pens ready to take some notes. No, just kidding. Um, what's cool is that the more we speak, the more we stack up the knowledge we share. So if this is your first time here, welcome. If it's not, welcome again. And yeah, there's some concepts probably that we won't go in depth today because we've been through them prior. So I invite you to watch some replays. But in any case, we are here to answer questions, and these are simple concepts, so you'll be free to find them on internet. So today we'll speak about self-compassion, a topic proposed and shared by Deeyana, which is a wonderful one. And regarding trading, I believe most traders think more discipline, which is obviously a strong pillar in trading. But what if the real, let's say, edge is somehow being kinder to yourself after you mess up? And self-compassion is not softness, it's not weakness, even though we identify it as it is. It's more emotional resilience. It's the ability to say, yes, I made a mistake, but I'm not going to destroy myself over it. I'm going to learn and come back stronger. And so if for the people who were here last week, the brain processes financial loss like physical pain. And self-criticism increases cortisol levels, which leads to clouded judgment, impulsive trades. And self-compassion reduces stress, improves recovery, attention, and decision making.
Reduces stress. I didn't know that part because, a lot of us are very hard on ourselves. Every time we mess up, we like to tell ourselves that we are stupid, that we're idiots, we're very, very good at talking down to ourselves. But I didn't actually realize that when you practice self-compassion, that it actually reduces stress as well. That's very interesting to hear.
It does, yeah. I think some people are saying my mic is making some noises. Can you confirm?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a crackle. I'm not I'm not sure whether it's your connection or...
Is it better now?
Oh, that's a little bit hot now, I think.
Is it better now?
It's
1 2 1 2.
Okay, so let's see if we can fix it.
Because I have settings on this mic, but I didn't change them, so it's strange.
Okay, is that better, Bruno? Because I probably hear something a little
My
bit
apologies, ladies and gentlemen.
No, that's all right. No, don't apologize. This is all a part of live TV, But let's see if we can fix the crackle somehow. We had this problem with Robert the other day. Yeah, I can hear you.
Is it better or?
Oh, that's actually. Say something.
1 2 1 2. Is it better?
I think it's not that better. So unfortunately, it's like keeps crackling. Is it maybe?
Is it better now? Is it better now? I'm gonna make some 1 2 1 2. Is it better?
So Bruno's saying maybe it's the mic cable. Yeah, it does sound like it's a microphone cable.
1 2 1 2. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Is it better now? You know what I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
Wait.
Live TV, everyone. That's what it is.
Get USB mic next. It's a USB mic.
Okay.
Um,
I can't hear you. You're probably gonna have to change. So if you can get back in, and then just make sure that the audio is in the right input. All right. So while oh
Oh,
now they can
now
hear
they
me.
can hear.
Okay, we have the same problem as before. Yeah. Is there any chance you can mute your audio? Because what I'm like, they can't hear this out on YouTube, but it's basically feedbacking my mic into your audio output and putting it into your input somewhere. So yeah. But mixing audio and stuff is a little bit tricky, obviously. So I can't hear you now. Go back to the other one. We're gonna try and sort out the crackle, I think. But I think we're gonna have to get you a better mic. All right, so we are going to be talking about self-compassion still and visualization exercises. But we're just going to get Jerome to sort out the mic again so that it can be a little bit more comfortable for everyone. This is a weird thing that happens. Every so often, there's like a weird crackle that it appears for no apparent reason. So,
there? No?
so say test 1 2 3.
1 2 3 1 2 3.
You're still crackling for some reason. It's weird. Like the other one wasn't crackling, but it was feedbacking myself. Do you have like a lot of stuff open as well? Because it could be like a CPU problem too. Now I seem to have lost your audio. Okay, yeah, he's gonna come back. Yeah, this is what happens, everyone. So bear with us.
No, it's
Oh
oh.
no, they're feedbacking. It's feedbacking me now as well. It's blowing up in my ear, and I can't hear you. So it's definitely the audio input. All right, give us a minute. I'm just gonna put us on the intro for a minute so we can sort this out. So give us 1 second. All right, let's try this again. Let's see if this is any better now. We are back to YouTube.
Thank you for your patience. Is it better?
Yeah, let's see what the people say.
Is this better now?
Let's see. Somebody's saying if you're filtering Discord, I don't go through Discord here. We're going through video and OBS, so we
Yeah, I
have
don't
nothing
have
to
Discord
do.
open either.
No. Is it better? Okay, guys, let us know if this is better now, because I mean, it's less crackling.
Just a little crackling.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. Studio. Yeah, it's almost like there's like a breakup in the mic side. Like the cable is a little bit. Okay, so Tushar says the crackle is still there, but it's not that annoying to me, honestly. So some people are like, yeah, let's just crack on.
Test 1 2 1 2.
That's very loud. That's very loud.
Is it listenable? Is it comfortable to listen to, or is it a pain?
So you've just done something with the audio that blew up the input on my side, or the output on my side. So because I have control over the volume over here.
Do you want me to do something? Sorry.
Yeah, so just volume is pretty high. I mean, I can put you down over this side.
Okay, is it better now? Is it better now?
I think we might be a little better. Yeah. Yeah, this is better apparently.
Now?
Yeah.
Now it is cool. 1 2 1 2.
Okay, I think this might be a little bit more acceptable. All right.
Guys, the topic is compassion, and we want you to express compassion. So
yes, express compassion to us.
Just kidding. So thank you for your management and understanding. So if it becomes worse at any point, please manifest yourself, and my apologies again. So today we're going to speak a bit about the link between trading and early wounds. Before it's a real topic, and trading doesn't just test your strategy, it tests your emotional wiring as well. And Deeyana spoke about it last week.
Yeah.
And a lot of that wiring comes from way before you ever saw a chart. And for some of us, if you grew up being punished for mistakes, you might now collapse under losses. If you were always trying to please or you might overtrade to feel worthy. And if you never allowed to feel emotion safely, you might now numb out with risk, you know? And these are things.
So let me ask you.
In my sense.
So
yes, sure.
let me just ask you one thing. So you say if you were punished as a child, you might get crushed when you start losing. Let's break that down a little bit. So are you then saying that when people lose, it's almost like they're getting punished all over again?
Exactly, because when we get punished for mistakes, when we, even at our ages, right? But it doesn't happen that frequently. But when we are a child, we feel it like physical pain, and self-criticism is a symptom of pain as well. And so because of that, you get frightened, you come back to yourself, you create a sort of cocoon, you get isolated. And so when you lose a trade, it reminds your mind of these things. And because you couldn't manage it younger, I bet you wouldn't be able to manage you're adult if you didn't have systems built on to manage these. We don't born with them. We build them, right?
Yeah.
But yes, that's what leads to it.
Interesting. So how can we tackle some of these very early childhood perceptions about our world, I suppose we could call them? Is there anything that we can do to to overcome those feelings, because they're probably so ingrained in us and many people are not even aware that that's what's happening when they start trading? And because trading is so fast paced, I think the problem comes that there is no time in between the mistake and the loss, so it's all pretty instantaneous, and I think that amplifies all of our self-limiting beliefs. Is there anything that we can do to tackle that? Like how will we even approach such like big issues that many people struggle with?
Exactly. Thank you for bringing that out. And that's the whole topic of today. We're going to go through the topic, and we're gonna get through an exercise. I'm gonna propose people a visualization exercise. And the thing is bringing first awareness, like we mentioned last week, having awareness of what is happening and why it's happening, and then you'll be able to have some more insights and then some tools to go through it, because this is very deep, right? It's deep traumas or wounds, and so you can't cleanse them in a couple minutes. So today, within an hour, we're gonna try to go through it and make people have a better understanding of it, and have some tools available upon them. So the thing is, when we lose a trade, it's not just a trade. The truth is, it's the shame behind it. And here's the good news: if you're aware of it, you don't have to act from it anymore. And the moment you notice an outside, let's say, emotional reaction, you can ask, is this about this trade, or is this something older showing up?
Interesting. So
you can say, yes, go ahead.
So these questions, I mean, how many people, probably no one even does that, right? Does a trade and then goes, is this the trade? Or is this my deep-seated trauma from like 20, 30, 40 years ago? It's so interesting. It's like, so basically that introspection is what effectively makes you self-aware that you have a problem, and we can start working from there, if I'm getting this right.
Exactly, completely. So I don't want people to think before trade, is this 2002 triggering trauma? That's not the point. But the point is at least having the introspection of knowing what triggers you.
Yeah.
Because trading is a very intense and extreme activity on which every day you have the mirror in front of you, and it's like you versus yourself. And sometimes the trade isn't triggering your failure. Without knowing it, it's reminding you of your childhood. And your healing might be the best trade you ever take. What about that? What's a greater P&L than healing yourself?
Yeah.
And today I'm gonna share with you a gift, and I'm not calling this a gift because I'm sharing a knowledge or a tool or whatever. Because when I learned how to use this tool, this skill, in my personal life and in therapy for my patients, we use it in therapy every day in the terms of mental health. So for the people who don't know me, I'm a PharmD doctor specialized in mental health and neurodegenerative disease. And I work a lot with complementary therapies such as mindfulness applied within healthcare. And so today we're going to take a moment to turn the critic, the inner critic, into a coach. And so when you mess up, because we all do.
Yeah. Muppet moments will still happen. Yeah.
Exactly.
Just wanted to
please
make that.
Pause and ask yourself, and this is a very, very powerful tool in my humble opinion. If my best trading friend had made this mistake, what would I say to them? And this question. This is easy to be compassionate for your friends, right? Because we are human beings. But when it comes back to ourselves, it's harder because we feel this shame. We feel it's kind of being soft with ourselves. We identify it sometimes, most of the time, as weakness as well. And so you would never say to your friend, you idiot, you always mess it up. You didn't follow your rules as always. You'll never make it. You'd probably say, okay, that one hurt, buddy. But you've been improving, you're great, you made it once, you can make it twice. Let's look at what happened, learn from it, and get back on track. And so here's a challenge. Why not speak to yourself the same way? If I have a bad moment, Dee would help me out. But why not speak to myself the same way? If she has a bad moment, I would help her out. But she can speak to herself the same way. And in therapy, we use this. And trust me, this is simple to say for some people. This is some stupid shit. And perhaps you'll be true. But I challenge you. It's a real challenge. Try to practice it. Whenever, forget about trading. I mean, don't forget about it. Of course, this is the topic. But whatever happens in your life, before or when you start to be conscious about like sabotaging yourself or blaming yourself, mark a pause. Imagine your best friend or somebody you love, but sharing with yourself this situation. And think about how you would act. Think about how you would feel, what you would think to say to this individual. And so this is something very powerful. And I really believe not a lot of people do. And so...
Yeah. So here's the thing. You said something there that maybe not everybody caught. You said pause. Whenever you're about to talk bad to yourself, pause and think, right? So that's a very powerful thing. And I think that's the most difficult thing to do in the heat of the moment, when everything's going wrong, when Nasdaq has annoyed you and you want to get back to it, and you're like, oh, I'm going to get my money back, or you think, oh, you've done it again, and then you start talking back to yourself. So before that point of no return, so to speak, when you start FOMOing, chasing, and then at the end of it all you start thinking that you can't do this and it's too difficult and you've done this, you've done that, pause. So just stop for a second. That's called introspection, from my kind of limited understanding of psychology. When you effectively go outside of yourself and you almost look at yourself as if you're kind of outside of your body and looking down where you're sitting, and effectively try to get a more realistic view outside of the feelings that you're feeling in that point. But that pause, the challenge is to actually stop in the moment. And I think for many people that would be a complete transformation of how they think about themselves. I know that it was for me, because I used to be a lot more impulsive as a young person. So when I started looking at my own behaviors from outside of myself, I was able to be a lot more objective. There was another thing that I did to list all of my achievements, and I'm fortunate enough that I've had a pretty rich life, so I've done a lot of stuff in my 44 years on this earth, and I've, even if it's like something like learning a new language or finishing school, like even if you don't have some big achievements in life, for me, it was very helpful to put down on a piece of paper all the stuff that I've done well in my life. Sometimes it's like having a child, bringing up a family and, taking care of your family. Anything that makes you feel like you're achieving, I think in those moments can really help. Is there any truth to that? Like, do you do that in therapy as well? Reflecting on your achievements to make yourself feel better about yourself during extremely tough times?
Completely. It's whole part. Thank you again for bringing something very meaningful. It's part of what we call positive thinking psychology. And now you have degrees that are called like positive thinking psychology degrees. Exactly. It's a whole new topic in psychology and neuropsychology. And positive psychology is definitely not, it's everything but something bad happens in your life and you're like, life is good. No, this is not positive psychology. Positive psychology is having a positive mental attitude. What is a positive mental attitude? The positive mental attitude is being able to build and have already built, if you've been practicing it, the ability to not react instantly towards events, but more step back from the reaction and react from the reaction you would have had. And this is the pose you mentioned. So the pose is actually one of the hardest thing indeed, but once you build the habit of pose, then you can go ahead of the other steps, right? So for people in trading, one tool that can help you, it's take a post-it, okay? A post-it, you stick it to your screen and you write in caps, if loss, then pause.
It's like conditional logic.
Yes.
If I lose, I pause. So that's actually a great reminder. One problem that I found with people in post-it notes is that during times when they're losing control, you can have a million post-it notes and they just never read through them. But I've used alarms for that purpose. So like let's say because you're going to lose throughout the day, not every trade will be a winner, but I used to have these alarms that would literally flash up at me with quite some piercing sounds to remind me what I need to do. And I used to spend several weeks focusing only on one task that I wanted to get rid of. So let's say one of my things was moving stops. Like last night I was on with Dolby, and he was saying how putting things to break even always causes him to regret because the trade works out more than it doesn't, and he feels that that's hurting his performance. So I used to have something similar back in the day where I would notice that I would put the stop to break even to protect the position, and then it would touch it and then proceed to go like a million ticks my way. So when I realized that that's hurting me more than helping me, I tried really hard not to do that, and it was so difficult because you're like, it's a profit, I need to protect it. And it's like, everything in your body is telling you to protect the position. But my other experience and empirical evidence that I do better when I don't mess with the stops was making me do this other thing, to actually force myself to do something that is extremely uncomfortable and completely out of my comfort zone. And when I stopped moving stops, I saw a huge improvement in my P&L. Now, it's not to say that trailing stops is not appropriate for certain situations and certain products, but it's just that the way that I trade, I like to keep trades for much longer than most people. And for me, that just wasn't working because I would generally be right on direction, but it would sort of cut off all of my profit potential if I would get knocked out. So pausing at those times and having like alarms that kick up at you and a whole bunch of stuff that you can fall back on just to bring your attention back to that one thing you're trying to do, I think that would be quite helpful. Obviously, if post-it notes work for you, that's awesome, but I just found in my coaching experience that people tend to just kind of glaze over them, and sometimes people have so many post-it notes they don't even know where to turn. I think that's another problem, not dealing with one thing at a time, but trying to tackle several issues all at once. So I think that focus and attention from last week that we spent talking about for quite a long time, I think we can come back to that when it comes to skill development. So instead of going, I'm going to become a great trader tomorrow because I've seen 2 episodes of Neuroscience Wednesdays with Jerome and Dee, and now I'm like, amazing. It's not going to happen that way. You're going to have to deal with each issue separately. So am I right in saying that? That's just like my evidence as a coach and as somebody who's done like methodical skill development over multiple disciplines.
Yeah, completely. Again, thank you for sharing that. If you allow me to bounce on that,
Yeah.
the first part, and I was listening yesterday when you were on air, and as part of my personal experience and empirical data as well, the way you expressed it for me, if I didn't know you and you were like an individual I give feedback to, I would say the first part of your story, moving stops to break even, always getting hit and then running to your way, and you were like, you don't want to lose the money, you want to protect. This is 100% emotional trading. This is 100% your second brain, the emotional one, taking over the rational one, and you make decisions based upon emotions. So I'm not saying, definitely not saying, putting stops to break even equals emotional decision. I mean, the way you do it, the way probably Dolby do it, the way I used to do it, and the way when I do it emotionally as well, because I don't master the process. That's why I don't do it anymore. But the once time I do it, most of the time, not 100%, it doesn't work well, you know, but anyway.
Yeah, there's
And
something
then in
to
your
that.
own story, yeah, but because there's a process, it's a whole,
Yeah.
there's a manner of doing it.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, I protect my trade. The thing is, when you put a stop to break even, it means you are doing another trade. Because when you put your stop to break even, it means the moment, let's say you're long, okay, you're in the long, the position is green, and then at 25 points of profits for the Nasdaq, you put stop to break even. What does this precise move means? That means you longed sort of 25 points of Nasdaq and you put a stop 25 points below.
Yeah.
But the question you don't ask yourself is this a good place to enter a long? And second, is this a good place to put the stop? But the thing is, because we react as, oh, I protect my trade. We don't know if the stop is placed in a zone where most probably the stop is going to be taken. You get my point? And so
yeah, so this is always what I say to people when they're like, well, what do you mean you don't trail the stops? They're like horrified to find out that Dee doesn't trail her stops and just leaves them be on like 9 times out of 10. And whenever I see people doing that very thing, I'm in your camp, Jerome. I think that you're effectively putting the stop at a complete nonsense place. So there's a reason why that was your entry and there's a reason why that was your stop. Now, if we get market structure to justify us putting the stop somewhere else that would happen to be in profit, that's another thing altogether. You're working with the market structure. But what happens frequently, like for example, I'm just gonna run this like copper trades example. So let's say that I went in on a break of the initial balance. So let's say that I'm now in a long position somewhere here, right? Is there structure? And let's say that my stop was underneath this low here. So outside of the value, outside of any kind of problem areas, but now that it's moved in profit, is there structure to justify me moving my stop effectively here? Like, what are we doing here, right? We're cutting through candles. There's no lows or highs anywhere that you can fall back on. Like, is it a wonder that knocks you out? Like, to me, it's like, what are we doing here? We're just making a nonsense decision based on nothing more than our emotions. So this is why I have a problem with moving stops, because I look at the market in a mechanical way. So if anything, if you're doing a breakout trade, your stop should be somewhere inside the initial balance. That's the appropriate stop placement. Now, if the market wags back down, creates a low, then carries on higher, you can use that new low, new swing low, to maybe put your stop to break even. But until that happens, any movement of stops is just emotional to me. That's how I look at it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so in your second part of the story, you shifted your mind. Your brain, for some reason, started to think more rationally. You still have emotions, of course. We are human, but you started to feel more rationally. And so
Purely
you
because data told
overcame.
me that. So,
Yeah, but
yeah.
your intention was different.
Haha.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? The
Yeah.
intention was different. Remember last week? Perception,
Intention.
intention,
Yeah.
manner of act. So the perception was different, your intention was different, therefore you don't do the same. I know people who knows very well how to add on to winners, and therefore they protect the trade depending on where they enter, and they rock it.
Yeah.
But it's a whole process. It's
Yeah.
very hard to do. And yes, trading emotionally can lead you to make bad decisions, but the truth is when you fail and when you lose, you're gonna feel this pain again and again and again, and so it's gonna become harder to take over, let's say, yourself, right? And so if you allow me to make the transition, why is the self-compassion shifts? When I say shift, I mean think about your best friend, your best trading buddy, your loved relative, whoever is very close to you, and tell yourself, you know what I've realized? The way most traders speak to themselves is they never speak like that to someone they care about, ever. And
Yeah.
so let me give you some example. You miss an entry, you're gonna tell yourself, oh, you're such an idiot, you're always late. But your best friend, you would say, okay, you hesitated, what made you pause? Let's try to understand it. Then you break your rules. You tell yourself, you're weak, you're a piece of garbage, you'll never make it. But to your friend, you would say, you broke your rule, okay, why? Tell me, what triggered it? Let's fix that, or
Yeah.
let's try
So
to speak on it.
friends would be like, well, what happened? You know, it would never.
Exactly.
Like, let me give you an example. Back in the day when Hogue was our risk manager, because I've been with Topstep for forever, and he never used to kind of attack you, or if you've had a bad day, he wouldn't. Because back then we had like a private messaging system, so and there's less traders as well, so it was a little bit easier to manage. But basically, whenever I had a bad day, he would pop up in a private message, and he would go, "Hey, are you okay?" and then we would kind of talk it through. He always used to be like this beacon of positivity, and he never kind of he's a very compassionate guy, right? We see that all the time on TopstepTV. But I just appreciated the fact that I beat myself up enough on that day. I don't need somebody else to come and sort of like put the final nail in the coffin, right? And the way he was talking to me actually brought attention to how I was talking to myself at that time. Because I was very hard on myself. I'm like, how could you possibly do this stupid trade? It's like, what have you done? This is just like better, because at that point I still had experience, but I would still have bad days. It was like the when we talk about consistent profitability, it's not a linear process, right? You still have a lot of days where you get it wrong, and those are the hardest days when you have to be okay with yourself. But the way Hogue was talking to me, I was like, well, he doesn't think I'm an idiot. And, he would always finish it up. Like, don't, you're a good trader. It's fine. You'll come back from this. It's a new day. Just go and kind of run, sleep it off, do whatever you need to do. And, it'll be okay. So I kind of started doing that for myself as well. When I would have a bad day, I would be like, it's okay. Like, as long as the risk is controlled and the account is not blown, everything else is just water under the bridge sort of situation. So yeah, it's a powerful, very powerful tool. So I just want to say we have a message from Luca Trading 88. He says, Deeyana and Jerome, last week's lesson has changed my way of trading, and I'm having extremely improved results in terms of mental cost versus economic benefit. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for this comment.
Yeah.
This is what we need to go ahead. I mean, we don't need that, but this is the fuel that feeds me personally.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and thank you, Dee. She makes it happen.
Yeah, well, Jerome, you're here. Without you, we wouldn't have Neuroscience Wednesdays. And this is, by the way, everyone, this is going to be a weekly thing going forward because we find that, talking about the mental aspects of trading is not covered quite enough. And because we're both traders, we can sort of tie it into trading in quite quite depth, rather than just kind of going, oh, here's a doctor and he's talking about this and whatever. But when you actually ask them actual trading questions like how should I behave, they can only draw on the conclusion of somebody who has never really done trading but has heard or maybe worked with people who have done it. So I think you really have to have somebody who is a trader and a doctor to really understand what people are going through. You have to be in the thick of it. Bruno tells me that you tell him the compassionate things as well when he makes mistakes.
Exactly, we're all humans.
Yeah. I mean, we need that sometimes, don't we? It's like sometimes you have a terrible day and you're like, oh God. And now we have risk managers, you're like, oh God, is Mick going to put me on shoulder tab? Oh God.
And we could speak about this. Oh, we have JD here. Good morning, JD.
Okay. Yes, Hogue is back today, he says.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, for the people who don't know, for the people who know, I'm just going to repeat myself, but I spent the second week of my retreat in the context of a degree I'm getting on top of my doctorate degree, which is meditation and neurosciences, integrative approach in healthcare. And the whole week, 2 weeks ago, was focused on compassion and self-compassion toward others as well. And so it's very interesting because in psychology and sociology, we noticed that it's very easy for people to be compassionate, to behave well for others when they are in pain, when they are sad. But the truth is, in psychology, behind every anger are hidden two things. The first is fear, and the second is need, or fears or needs. It can be plural. And so when you understand that, whatever you are angry for, ask yourself, or try to ask yourself, what is it am I afraid of? What is it I am in need of? So this leads to anger. And I'm human, I'm a trader, and as you mentioned, I'm a trader and a doctor. So during this week I was thinking, okay, when I lose, why do I feel frustrated? Why do I feel this anger? Why do I feel sad? And so I faced myself, and I was like, okay, this is the fear, perhaps fear of losing, perhaps fear of losing time as well, not only money, What's the need, need of self-fulfillment, perhaps need of self-trust, perhaps needs of money, whatever it is. And so you identify it, and then the next step is to practice the non-identification. Indeed, you recognize something, you identified it, you recognize it, but you don't associate, you don't identify yourself with it. And in therapy, this is the difference between I have a pain and I am in pain, or I have a depressive trait, which is very punctual, or I am depressed. And I am is identifying yourself. And this is not deep psychology. This is really identifying and associating yourself with your feelings and sensations.
So here's a question. We have a lot of young people who are now all thinking, oh, I'm very depressed, I'm prone to depression. So is it just that maybe they have a depressive trait rather than actually being depressed? So is that what's going on with the youngsters now?
Completely.
Yeah.
I mean, completely. Some are depressed, but completely, because we also misunderstand things. I mean, if you ask anybody what's the difference between a depressive trait or depression, being depressed, they wouldn't tell the difference.
They wouldn't know,
right?
Yeah.
So
is it the same with people who say that they, because I've also met young people who all claim they have some form of ADHD, and I'm like, this is statistically impossible. The scientist in me is saying that I cannot meet like 15 millennials or post-millennials and they're all ADHD. It's like we either have an epidemic on our hands or these people are not really sure. Like, and my first question is always, have you been diagnosed? And most of them haven't, because they don't really have it. Maybe they have some issues focusing, but I would probably say that that's probably because everybody's stuck inside. Nobody does exercise anymore. We have a lot less active lives because of the internet, and everybody's connected through WhatsApp and all of that. So, it's a different lifestyle, which kind of leads to lack of endorphins in the brain. Less activity equals less endorphins. So you feel terrible, and then you start thinking you've got mental issues. It's like, do some exercise. That's usually what I think. Am I wrong in thinking that? Is this just Granny D coming out and just going, the young people are just... Or is there some truth to it?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Jerome. I'm glad I'm not completely off the mark there.
No, you're great. The thing is, I mean, we would need to speak 10 hours to speak about all the components of, like, in 10 hours wouldn't be enough, right? Of the mind and the traits and how psychological components enter in our emotional balance, and how all of this impact trading. Because the truth is, trading is a professional activity on which you face yourself, and you face an industry, a business, and you face other people, but you don't know them, you don't see them. And the thing is, again, when you lose, you face yourself, you face your adversity, you face your skills to stop yourself when you lose, and to stop yourself when you win as well. How many people here have won, but then went for another shot of dopamine and then lost?
That used to be my problem. Even when I was a swing trader. Yeah, I used to have like a smashing trade that I used to sit on for like 2 weeks at a time. And then once it was over, I'm like, I'm going to try another one. It's like, what are you doing? It's like your setup won't come again for 2 weeks. So yeah, it's very difficult.
Exactly, and it's the tricks of the mind, right? There's a lot of tricks to the mind, but as everything, once you know how it works, you can help yourself. That's the powerful thing, because believe me, 95% or 90%, more closely, 90% of people are driven. And when I say 90% of people, I don't mean 10% of people or not. I mean, mainly 90% of the people on a daily basis are driven by their habits. And we are all driven by our habits. The thing is, when you master, or at least practice, being in the present moment, being mindful, being aware of what you're thinking and what you're feeling, do you think the guy at the pit, Chicago pit or Wall Street pit, that loses 500K or 1 million trade in a couple minutes, do you think he's sabotaging himself? No. He will think about it later, probably, but he thinks onto the next trade. Do you think he was born like this? No. Do you think he learned this at school? Mostly not. He practiced it. He built it. When he was a junior, he fell on the ground. He fell on the ground. He fell on the ground. And he built what we call resilience.
Yeah.
And resilience starts to get built from within before being built from the outside. And the best example of that for me is athletes, right? Athletes, they build themselves, and musicians as well. You think, you visualize, the melody or the path, and repetition builds resilience. And if you were with us last week, you understand that repetition in the brain prints neurons, synapses, and networks, connections. And so when you fire these connections, you wire them together. And so that's how you build a habit. And guess what? When you stop practicing a network or enabling a network, which could be a habit or an action, then what do? Then the neurons will unwire, okay? They will unlink them. And you can see this with an EM, an electronic microscope on YouTube. This is a $10 million microscope. See the neurons wiring together, or on the opposite, unlinking them. And so the goal isn't to eliminate discomfort. If you were here last week, or if you will follow us during this neuro journey, you will understand that the goal is definitely not about not thinking, not feeling emotions. It's all about acceptance, and going beyond acceptance is recentering yourself, being able to say, oh, okay, I'm focused straight, but oh, there's something on the left that's taking my attention. The goal is not to sabotage yourself saying, oh, I'm losing focus, I'm watching on the left. No, the goal is having awareness. Oh, I'm watching on the left. Oh, hello, whatever distracted me. Please let me focus, and then you go back straight, you know?
So
And
here's a
guess what's
practical application to that. So I'm watching this corporate trade. I had a couple of hypos. One of them was value acceptance long. The other one was the rejection of value short. So as I'm watching it go to full target, I'm getting a little bit of an inkling to go, F it, I'm going to go in anyways, even though it's kind of reaching my first target here. But I know not to do it. I know that later on in the day, I will have more information and I will get another chance, and, you know, I will have a new initial balance to play off of and everything. So I'm actively sort of making a decision not to chase this, even though it was one of the trades I was looking at. So it's like kicking myself. But it doesn't matter because it's just one trade. And every time I tried to rush into things when it moved away from my levels quite significantly, it didn't end well. It just meant that I was in trades that I shouldn't have been in on. They're too far away. There's no way to limit risk. And I almost always get another opportunity several hours after in the next session. So again, it's very difficult to just, you know, sit here, watch the trade go, and you're like, ugh. So you just got to sit there, hate watching it almost. But I know that if I take the next step that my, you know, emotional brain wants me to take, oh, I want to click a button. I want to trade. That's going to be not a good outcome, purely from experience, because it's actually happened to me on Monday as well, where I missed the move, and I'm like, I'm going to go in, and then I get smacked in the face once, and I'm like, oh God, now what? So I try again, and you're like, why did I do this? And so it still happens. Beautiful. It still happens to me, but it doesn't happen every single day. And I know from our VIP experience that people actually struggle with this sentiment and emotions every single day, sometimes even every single trade, right? They know they shouldn't chase, but they chase. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You express again a PIM, perception, intention, matter of fact.
Yeah.
Your intention is to not feel bad if you take this trade FOMOing and it doesn't work. This is your intention, precisely what I understood from your story. Like you have a setup, you miss it, you're like, dang, I'm sure it's gonna hit, I wanna go in, but this would end being a FOMO entry.
Yeah.
On this FOMO entry, I will get very much frustrated and feeling bad. Therefore, I'm not entering. Am I right?
Yeah.
So your intention, perception, set up your intention and set up your no-go action, which is not trading. But if your intention was, oh, I'll follow the trade regardless, that would completely bias your mind.
Yeah.
And it's all about the intention. This is very powerful, what you just explained. I'm not knowing it, but it all comes from what is your in-depth intention. When you wake up and you go in front of the screen, what is your intention? Do you want to trade? Do you want to hit a certain P&L? Do you want to make a certain amount of trades? Or are you in the jungle? Do you have no intentions and you're like, whatever the market gives me, I'm gonna take it today, and which is great as well. But
yes, here's the things, because I'm more in the camp of let's just see what the market gives me today, because I don't like working with targets or goals or anything. Like obviously I have a target on a trade because that's pretty set out as a systematic thing for me, or at least it is in my head. But for most people, they have a set number for the day. They're like, I want to make $1,000 today. And then they get to like 978 and something happens and they lose that and they end up blowing up the account or, personal data loss limit or something. What happens then? Like what is that all about? What drives us to want to chase that tiny negative risk reward at that point, to chase like some arbitrary round number? And how would we get around that? Because it's a real problem.
a real problem I faced, and it's been a couple of weeks now. I'm able to manage this. Uh, Intention again. I swear to God, intention again. Most of the time, my intention was making a couple hundreds PNLs, which is same time very easy and same time very, very hard.
Yeah.
Instead of entering a trade, I would tell myself, oh, if I put 2 NQ here and I want only $300, it means 7.5 points. And then you're like, oh yeah, of course, it's gonna do 7.5 points. You have a 50 point stop loss. And then you go and make a coffee, you come back and you're like 30 points in drawdown, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
And so when you watch the trade back, you're like, okay, that wasn't a nice entry for sure. Like, the thing is with the brain will always, let me ask you a question, Dee, and all the viewers. When you lose a trade, don't you always find good reasons not having taken it?
Usually, yes. Like there are times when the idea just doesn't come together, and you have everything and almost the most perfect trades that kind of set up amazingly well. I'm almost like suspicious of them. It's like, yeah, this is great, but however, sometimes that level just completely breaks down. It looks like it's going to work, it doesn't. That's fine. But usually, if I lose a trade, it's more often because of something that I did. You're absolutely right there. So it's either that we're too far away from the level, or the rejection happened too quickly, so now I'm staring at a wick candle, and I'm still going in even though I'm so far away from the original level. It's usually the fault of the trader. Like, let's say 7 times out of 10 it would be my fault why I lose a trade.
Oh, for me it would be 10 out. I agree with that. But the thing is, my point in this, and thank you for answering, is that the brain naturally makes it. Whatever we do wrong, okay, whatever you do wrong in life, your brain with time will try to help you, right? Because you are the human host of the brain, right? Of Barry. And so Barry wants you to feel better because Barry wants to live, right? But Barry is tricky, but Barry wants to live healthier than the actual state. So it's like in a relationship, you get you get a breakup, right? But the breakup comes from your partner. And so you're gonna feel bad, let's say, but then your brain will automatically find good reasons so you can reassure yourself. You're gonna say, oh yeah, for example, let's say you were with a girl, in my instance, and many of my male friends, they say, oh, she was a crazy lady, oh, she used to do this, she used to always, and when you listen to 10 dudes, it's like they all have the same reasons of a breakup. And I'm like, did you like put the finger back to yourself, perhaps? I'm not saying this is your fault.
Just one question, Jerome. Was she hot?
Depends.
Yeah, because if she's hot, she can be psycho, right? So
yeah, exactly.
That's my understanding of how men's brains work. Sorry, just a little bit of a joke.
Somehow true as well. Somehow true.
Yeah. All right.
And so yeah, self-compassion activates the PNS, what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. Which calms you down, which is the opposite of fight or flight, improves access to the PFC, prefrontal cortex, decision-making, logic, clarity, and it literally changes the way your brain reacts to failure, And
let's talk about failure. Failure is such a finite word. I never subscribe to that, because you don't, like, if you never give up, you'll never fail. And I think one of the reasons why I did so many things in life is because I just don't see failure as the end point. I think a lot of people are like, I'll make it, or I'll make it, or I will fail, or they have this extreme way of thinking that it's black or white. You're either a millionaire, or you are blowing up accounts. But I always say there's a golden middle where you can be profitable and you might not be the best trader in the world, but you're all right. And, you know, many people get stuck in that sort of a range. You know, not everybody even wants to be a multi-millionaire. You know, that comes with its own set of problems. But why do we have this like extreme side of us? It's like, oh, I'm either going to be a multimillionaire or I'm either going to blow out, and there's no middle ground. And is that what partially drives people to trade with size, like way before they're ready?
I think if I'm honest with you, people trade with size because it's accessible.
Because they can.
know they have
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
because they have access of this potentiality, and they think it could happen, and I don't blame them. Sometimes
Yeah.
it could, but when it doesn't, how do you feel, right? Most
Yeah.
of the people, they blow accounts, they sabotage themselves, and we know the drill, right?
Yeah, we've seen it on Shoulder Tap so many times. Yeah.
Exactly. Like some people, they put like 15 lot at the open, and
Now that's emotional. You know, no one can tell me that that's like a product of some, you know, controlled plan and, you know, plan of action and intention. It's literally, it's open. Oh my God, I've got a new XFA. And they're like 15 contracts deep in NQ, literally the minute Globex opens.
yeah, I mean,
what
if
are
it's
you
a brand
doing?
new XFA, they can't because
Yeah.
it's.
Oh yeah, that's
there's the
right.
scaling
They've got
plan,
a scaling plan. Yeah, yeah.
which,
There's some of the
thank-
other companies, because I've
Full-
obviously got students and stuff, and they've got other companies. So some of them don't have the scaling plan, and they literally did that. And I'm like, dude, just don't talk to me for a day. Like, I'm so annoyed with you. And then they learn that that is not how you do things. And, you know, we have to earn our way to trade size. And this is where, you know, rules like Topstep, people are against the scaling plan. But without the scaling plan, I see people doing even stupider things. I mean, they do stupid things even when that scaling plan goes. And I think it's actually pretty generous that you can't go full size. And I would actually put it down to micros if it was down to me. But, you know, I think we get a long leash, and yet people still think that's not enough. Like, it's like just
Yeah, but you know, people are all 18 plus older, right? They are adults.
Yeah.
They are responsible individuals. We are here to provide knowledge and information,
yeah,
and they make whatever they want from it. They are free of doing it, and the thing is, somebody said failure is the path to success, and I don't think it's the path to success, but it's definitely part of the path to success.
stepping stone for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, show me somebody who's successful without failing, and I have a million questions for them, you know? Like, tell me
Yeah.
how you did it, you know?
Yeah. Are you an alien?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So here's someone who's saying that the only intention should be to play your edge and be disciplined. Oh my God, where do I even start with that comment? So here's the thing, being disciplined. Let me ask this person the question. What is discipline to you? If you can't control your emotional brain, and you're constantly in that limbic system overload, and your sympathetic nervous system is like constantly annoyed because you're making mistakes, is that a problem with discipline and edge? Or is that a mental problem, just like purely psychological and us not being self-aware enough? I would argue that, you know, it's all psychological. It doesn't matter how disciplined you are if you don't know how to control your brain in certain situations. And we cannot train our brains away. Like, people try to read books about trading. It's like, that's great, but maybe when you're a pure beginner. But books are not going to teach you how it feels to really mess up a day, you know? It's not. It's like the best teacher is you doing the walk forward trading. So you show up, do some trades, journal, see what happened, see how it made you feel, and then go forward from there. So it's not a matter of self-discipline. It's not a matter of, oh, you just know your edge. First of all, most people don't even know what their edge is yet, which is why we're here, right? Whole TopstepTV is all about showcasing different traders with different edges. And then you can pick up bits and pieces from all of us, right? But this is a part of the issue, I think, where people are like, oh, just be disciplined. be disciplined. It's like as if it's like a switch that you can turn on, and now, oh, okay, now I'm disciplined. Excellent. It's not that black and white. This is why we want to have these sessions, right?
Exactly. And yeah.
So how do you how would you approach visualizations? Let's talk about some actual practical tips on what we can do to get better every day with self-compassion, with trading, and tying it all together.
Sure, that we can make a practice. So for the people who are online here, you can follow the practice, you can not follow it, you can agree with it, you can resonate with it, you can dissonate with it, you can disagree with it. You are more than welcome. The only thing I ask you here is respect the practice, respect the people who respect the practice as well, and let them do the practice. So it's going to be a quick practice. There's multiple ways of doing visualization. Today, what I want to do is holding in drawdown, holding the heat into a drawdown. So it's sort of emotional conditioning for resilience in trading. So wherever you are, take a moment to sit comfortably. If you want to close your eyes, feel free so. If you want to keep your eyes open, feel free so as well. And bring your awareness to your breath. Just close your mouth. Don't focus on how you're breathing. Just focus on your breath and inhale with the nose. And let your inhale deepen. Feel the air getting through your body. And then you exhale progressively without forcing it. And you can feel your body on the chair you are sitting.
Through the mouth or the nose?
Whatever is comfortable for you. And you feel your feet on the ground, your butt on the floor if you're sitting on the floor. Your hands are relaxed and you're here fully present. And now, in your mind's eye, I want you to see your trading screen, okay? Your charts. And I want to imagine your setup, your favorite setup. Let's say your plan for the day. You have a plan. I want you to visualize your levels marked with precision, the different lines, whatever you have on your charts. Pay attention to how you feel. Believe you feel calm, you're calm, you are focused. You can see the market moving, and whatever volatility is here, you don't feel panicked, you don't feel stressed, you don't feel FOMO. You can see clearly what your plan is. You're waiting for the market to do A, B, C, D, for example, and you're gonna take E. And then you're waiting, you see A, you're telling yourself, oh, am I gonna see B? You see B. Then you're gonna see C, and then you have the D wave, and then you're like, okay, this is my trade, this is the moment. You pause, you ask yourself, okay, is this the real intention? Is this the real trade I want to take? Yes, it's my plan. Where is my risk? Where is my potential profits level? Okay, then what do? You take the trade. The execution is clean. The entry is right. But now, instantly, the market moves against you. And you're in drawdown. Huge drawdown. You don't expect this drawdown. It's not a small one, it's a heavy one. The PNL starts blinking red. I bet you can feel it in your chest. You can perhaps have your breath shortens. You can perhaps start your hands shaking or your eyes twitching as well. You can feel perhaps a sort of pressure or a sort of a hole inside your tummy, your stomach. And guess what?
So I feel slight annoyance, but I also know that I have a point of maximum adverse excursion where I do experience a drawdown, but I use it to scale in. So as I'm imagining this drawdown, I'm still okay. I'm a little bit annoyed though.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
Why is this wonderful? Because we're gonna repeat it, but for the people who are following the lessons, you remember that the brain doesn't make the difference between fiction and reality. And that is why when you focus, when you pay attention to this drawdown, you feel this, you feel annoyed. you feel anxious, you feel stressed, tensed. Why? Because this is what you would feel in real situation. Why? Because we are used to react emotionally. But now, this time, today, you know it isn't real. So you don't have to fight it. So you can just stay. You can just breathe. You take a deep breath and you pay attention to this feeling, this annoyance feeling, this chest feeling, this stomach feeling, this shaky feeling. And you say to yourself, okay, I followed my plan. I followed everything. This is part of the process. My job is not to avoid discomfort. My job is to follow my plan and be aligned with it, regardless of being right or wrong. And now you can feel the tension rise, most probably. But you can feel yourself handle it. Can you feel you don't panic?
Yeah, that actually made me more relaxed, because then I imagined that the trade isn't going to work and that it's going to completely break down. And then I imagined what I'm going to do after. And before it got stopped out in my head, I said to myself, it's okay, I need to take a break, and it's okay even if there's no more trades today. And then there was like this feeling of relief, almost as if I've like hit the lockout button in the account myself. It's like, it's very powerful. I like that. It really is as if I've gone through the trade. Like I was there. I was like in the thick of it, going through the whole drawdown and everything. And then you kind of make a decision. I think the intention, here's what I'm getting out of this. The intention whilst you're in a drawdown of what will come next is just as important as how you enter a trade.
Exactly. Because you don't panic, you don't jump out.
Yeah.
It's like you've already prepared for this moment. And this is the power of visualization. We use it in therapy. Like there's clinical studies upon it, guys. So you know this drawdown was a possibility. Your hormonal level system is getting used to it. The thing is, because it's fiction, we are like in practice mode. This is the emotional sim environment, okay? It's like the demo on Topstep, okay?
It's the emo sim.
Exactly, the emo sim, exactly. We're gonna do emo sim Wednesdays. And so, you know, this drawdown was a possibility, right? You already decided how to act, and that decision still stands. You are following your plan. Like, for me, a risk, a stop loss, I don't call risk or stop. I call it expenses.
I call it
they
expenses
are business
as well.
expenses,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But now what did you do? You breathe into the sensation. It's just energy. It's just heat. It's just drawdown. And you can handle heat. You can handle the chest pressure. You can handle recentering your breath. You can feel your breath anchoring you. You can feel your commitment holding steady. You can feel that this fictitious feelings it's not reality. And even also, while the market moves.
Commitment holding steady. Let's focus on that for a second, because something that I didn't realize was like this point of like I do the visualizations, but no one has ever taken me through it like you have. You know, I've not like been in official therapy where, you know, it's not like, you know, you go to a trader retreat and you have somebody holding your hand and going, let me guide you through these feelings. You know, you kind of try and work it out yourself. But one thing that I've gotten from this visualization exercise is that inside my head, the intention actually came before any final outcome of the trade. And I kind of let it go before it kind of got stopped out in my head. But even if it had worked out, it's still like, yes, it would have been a positive outcome, but I was sort of prepared for the next step. So thinking ahead is maybe something that I do naturally anyway, but there are moments where I start to get a little bit annoyed towards the end of the trade if it's going to get stopped out, and I'm just looking at it and it's like, it's 2 ticks away. It's 2 ticks away from the stop. It's going.
You
it's
said
gone,
something
isn't
beautiful.
it? Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, that was it. So, you know, you just get a little bit
mental health.
Yeah.
In mental health, we say depression is living in the past, and anxiety is living in the future. And the whole point of mindfulness is being in the present moment.
Right.
And so you just said, I'm always thinking about the future.
Yeah.
I don't ask you, do you feel anxiety? I know the answer. Okay?
Yeah.
Like, I know the answer. You just have to listen to people
Yeah.
and how they perceive and how they interpret things. And having anxiety is not a bad thing, but
Yeah.
having awareness of it and understanding how you can go with it, through it, and overcome it is a whole different step, you know, and a whole
Yeah.
different point. And the open door of it is awareness, you know. And perhaps today we did awareness. You're like, oh, damn, he's right. I'm thinking about the future. I'm not in the present moment.
Yeah.
And we'll talk later with pleasure. And yes, that's the power of visualization. Visualization help make what I call them the brain shutdowns, electrical shutdowns. This is a process used in hypnosis as well, and self-induced hypnosis. We try to shut down left and right brain, so it creates some of a magic structure. And it's sort of visualizing you are achieving something you know you can't achieve, but you feel you are achieving. And it's building a disruption, an unbalance between what you think and what you feel. And it empowers you so much to become stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's what very high successful people use, and athletes use as well.
Right. Okay.
And I just want to mention, there's this guy Momo in the chat. Thank you,
Yeah.
Momo. He's been typing a lot of stuff, but he's been mentioning Carl Jung, and he's recognizing many of the stuff I'm saying into Jung, because Carl Jung has been not one of my teachers, but I learned a lot from it. So when I speak, most probably there's a lot of it people can resonate with. I inspire myself from a lot of teachings, but indeed, the archetypes and self-identities and unconscious, subconscious, all this psychology of human beings. And because I'm a neurodoctor, the thing I've always tried to link psychology and anatomy, brain, what is abstract and what is concrete, right? And today with new technologies, functional MRIs, high Tesla MRIs, etc., we are able to put fingers on some things we could just have suggestive ideas and communication on.
Yeah.
Thank God, finally something useful. Thank you, Momo.
So we have someone who's still talking about no, like I don't think they actually realize what they're saying here and what people actually struggle with, but saying your visualization is skewing your decision making. No, it's helping your decision making, because many people make the wrong decision in the heat of the moment. So what we're trying to say here is that visualizing things ahead of time, especially when things don't go well, can actually help a lot of people. Now, if you are an advanced trader who doesn't struggle with this, more power to you. Okay, more power to you, chess pest, which is an interesting name. Pest being in the name, but hey, you know.
I mean, chess pest. Yeah, if
yeah.
you're a super saiyan already, good for you.
Yeah,
we are
exactly.
helping people here.
Yeah.
Didn't you understand that everybody in life is different? Some people perhaps need some tools you don't, and perhaps
exactly.
people don't. It's like in therapy. Every therapeutical tool, which is not necessarily a medication, doesn't work with everybody. So what doesn't work for you might work for somebody else, and perhaps you need something else, but you need some stuff as well. I'm not saying you're in need of something, don't misunderstand me, but respect, again, respect the practice, respect others. If you don't, it's all good. I mean, it's up to you. You're not gonna attain me or something.
And again, the previous ones, there's the answer D is that if you're sitting in front of the screen, there's nothing to be emotional about. So obviously this is somebody who's already emotionally resilient, but this is not the case for 97% of traders. Like, we need to understand where this whole thing is coming from, right? Yes, there are 3 to 5% of people who are not, like, I'm not a particularly emotional person, all right? I'm not. I don't cry over things. In fact, if you ever see me cry, it's probably because somebody died or something. Like, I don't over dramatize stuff. I'm very emotionally resilient, but that's not to say that everybody's like that, right?
Exactly.
And we need these conversations to help people go forward, because there is FOMO, there is chasing. People do a lot of stupid things. Like, I'm looking at the VIP stats of my own team, and I'm just going, what are you doing, mate? Like, what is going on there? And even if you ask them repeatedly, don't do that, size down, slow down, size down, it doesn't matter. They still do it. They're like, I lost control. It was like I forgot how to trade. I don't know what happened. Oh my God. It's all of this like emotional stuff that maybe Chespest, you don't struggle with, but trust me, over 95% of people struggle with it. They do. But I'm glad that you don't.
Exactly. And we spoke about edge, and Chespest
They have a
is
plan.
mentioning edge as well. And
Yeah,
so
they have a plan. They just cannot follow it.
My definition of edge is everything but technical. An edge, Chespest, please listen to me. An edge is exactly what you are defining. My edge, personally, is knowing that I try to stay as much mindful as possible, try to step back, try to pause, try to understand what am I doing. Like, my edge is everything but how I act upon a chart. My edge is not, oh, I buy here, I sell here. My edge is, oh, I want to buy here, but is this the real setup I look for? And everything you're saying, Chespest, this is your edge. And Dee has her edge. And Chespest, it's like in school. You have one teacher. We are not doing school here, but don't misunderstand me. But you are at school. You do very well at school. You need to study 1 hour when you come back home. But guess what? Your friends need to study 5 hours. And even though they study 5 times more than you, they struggle more. Or you're going to tell them, oh, you're stupid. You don't need to study more. You just need to understand. No, brother. You just have more skills, more facilities. Yeah. And this is something to understand as well in trading. Everybody doesn't have the mental machinery to think not fast, but as deep as you. You have mental machinery built to go versus yourself in trading, Chespest, and props to you, but not everybody has it, and we are here to help them. At least try to help them.
Yeah, try to help them, try to educate, try to, provide some actionable tips on how to control yourself in those difficult moments. And we're coming up on time, but I am going to just say that I also used to practice something that helped me. So I used to have a bit of a negative self-critic nagging in my head all the time. And I was talking to somebody and they said, well, have you thought about making your negative self-critic into a really ridiculous character and just kind of tuning them out? Now, tuning out part didn't really help for me, but I did start to imagine that my negative self-critic looks like this. So every time I heard that voice, you're stupid, you're an idiot, I just made it sound like Beaker from the Muppets. You're stupid, you're an idiot. And that totally minimized the power that it had over me. So every time I hear that, I always say, hey, Beaker, how are you doing? And it just doesn't affect me anymore. It took time. It took a long time.
Very interesting.
But, that was my coping mechanism. Whether it works for others, I don't know. But, it certainly worked for me. All right.
Wonderful.
Right, so we're gonna finish it up here. I think we have a lot of stuff to digest here. We're gonna be welcoming Jerome every Wednesday for Neuroscience Wednesdays, along with Barry the Brain. Something that I'm looking for copper today, because we went into this long. So just to go back to the trading for a second, I would be looking for a test of VWAP later on in the day. So whenever that comes, I'm either looking for. So I'm not going to be looking for shorts. I'm looking for more longs with potential for maybe, let's see, London value low at 505.25 is one of the levels that I'll be looking at. And then 5 evens, if all of that breaks down, we kind of go all the way down. Maybe not today, but maybe later on this week. But I do think that this 5 evens number is pivotal for copper at the moment. And it looks like they've gone into a bit of a upside movement. So typically what happens for the rest of the day is they tend to hold that direction true. So you have a bit of a wiggle room, but on most days, copper is not one of those products that's like bi-directional. So just wanted to say that. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you, Jerome, for the lovely session once again. We're going to try and sort out the sound issues going forward, so apologies for that. Yeah, it's fine. It happens. It's one of those live TVs thing. So let's see if I can get some links up over for everyone. I am gonna have to get my bookmarks up. It would be nice if I save these somewhere else, because this is a little bit tricky. Here we go, show notes. Check us out in Discord, because we have over 100,000 people over there. Before I do that, I'm also going to share Eurex. So if you want to see DAX in Topstep, please upvote this link. And let's have a look at the links. So Discord has over 100,000 people at the moment, and we are growing. I'm just gonna try and grab it. Probably Google. It always causes me such issues. It's so annoying. Okay. Anytime, Google, anytime. No. Am I still on? Did I like completely?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So my computer's doing some weird things. And what is it doing now? Okay, here we go.
Session helped you. We're trying to build some structure and some contents that help people. Also, I don't know if we can make this work out, but perhaps we could gather some feedback or suggestions from people, or topics that could help people. Let's say we have a couple hundred of feedback, and 60% of them gravitate around the same topic. Then we can speak upon a topic that gathers a lot of interest. So
yeah, I mean, we could get suggestions in chat as well. Like, is there anything in particular, chat, that you would like us to tackle next Wednesday? Because it's
for next Wednesday,
for next Wednesday we can take topics, and we can maybe pick one. Maybe we can pick one biggest one, and then we can actually turn our attention to that trader, kind of make it a lot more interactive. And yeah, so I've just put in our Discord link in chat. Google was kind enough to finally open the sheet that I needed. Now, if you are located in the States, you can also get into the 5K payout club. So that will be on this link. And finally, if you want to come and join us for the main broadcast, and come tell us about your journey, maybe tell us about your FOMO moments and mistakes, fill out the casting form. And this is how a lot of people come to TopstepTV. We might get a chance to hang with you, get to know more about you. Chess Best. Yes, we're waiting for you. Yes, fill this out. Come and discuss, because obviously you're obviously a more advanced trader, and that's great. Sometimes advanced traders get this like expert blindness. I think I suffer from it occasionally, but they kind of forget all the stuff that the beginner traders really struggle with quite a bit. All right, we're gonna finish it up here. Thank you, everyone. Again, great questions, great comments, and let's keep this going. So this will be a regular segment now going forward. So we'll have Neuroscience Wednesdays. Thank you, Jerome, Dr. Jerome. Let's carry this on.
you.
Let's get better every day. Let's set those intentions, and let's try to use these visualizations to tackle some of our emotional and psychological issues as traders. Thank you for being with us. I'm Marcus Dee. This is Jerome. We will see you again very soon. Take care.